Now on the Locked On Celtics podcast, what the Celtics should do with the trade deadline and why what they do will tell us everything about how they feel about this team.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Where is your team every day? Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts. They play Friday and Saturday, Brooklyn and in Chicago. So bonus podcasts after those two games will be very interesting games. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show. It's on YouTube. And join me for the show. I am John Karalis. If you're new to the show, I'm a beat writer covering the Celtics for Sports Illustrated, the Celtics on SI page. I've been covering the team for about 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about the team. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Today's show is about the trade deadline, which, as we're recording this, is literally 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from now, in the early evening of the 5th, we will be either dissecting the Celtics trades or wondering why they didn't do anything. So we'll just lead into that later on. We'll get into how this impacts what the Celtics like. What they do will tell us how they feel. But let's kind of look at what they have and what they should do, and let's do it with Tom Westerholm, everybody.
What's up?
Tom Westerholm, everybody.
Okay. Much better. Well, a little short. Jeez. Disrespectful. Right. Yeah.
That's me. I'm very disrespectful nowadays.
Yes, to many
many people are saying that I am disrespectful.
Known to be disrespectful.
Known disrespecter John Karalis, as I should put that on my thing at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Tom Westerholm, find his work at Boston.com. How are you?
I'm good. Buried under, feet of snow. Freezing.
A lot of snow, a lot of cold. Whew. Yep. Detroit was cold, my buddy, my friend. It was
Midwest is different, man. It is a different kind of cold out here.
Yeah. I've never had to scrape ice off of my hotel window. So the trade deadline is 2 weeks away, and the Celtics. We've talked about this a little bit on a few different podcasts now, but it's like, what can they do versus what should they do? What will they do? So many different conversations here. Mm-hmm. We always talk about Anfernee Simons as a trade chip, the trade chip. And everybody just assumes that that's the case. And it hit me today. I was like, wait a second. Whenever we assume something with Brad Stevens, that's like, no, that's not what he's going to do. And it makes me wonder a little bit about some of the other players, some of the other moves that could be made. And I just did a whole thing for the Celtics on SI, a big draft primer. So if you want to go to the Celtics SI page, big, huge primer, bookmark it, go back to it, all that stuff. The Celtics have more assets than Anfernee Simons. They could easily, if they wanted to pivot to Derrick White. No, they probably shouldn't, but they would. They could. They have Sam Hauser.
Well, according to somebody on this podcast, they might as well, because we all know that Hugo Gonzalez is going to be better than Derrick White. So
eventually, but let's give him a couple of times. Let's let Derrick White by the time Derrick's contract is up. But hey, if that's how it goes, and that's how it goes, and if we start the Hugo era a little early, so be it. No, I don't think Derrick White's going to go. But no, I'm also like, okay, they make about the same amount of money, and Simons is younger, and I'm just saying I'm not saying that Derrick White is going to go, or they should go, or they're even considering, or anything like that. I do not want Derrick White gone. I'm just saying, I'm looking at. I'm starting to get gun shy. Is what I am. It's starting to get nervous. I'm seeing ghosts, and it's because Brad Stevens always makes these weird. Wait a second. Is it going to be? Maybe it's not Simons. Simons playing well. Maybe it's Sam Hauser. Maybe it's Peyton Pritchard. Maybe it's so. I don't know. Looking across the landscape. Obviously, Simons feels like the most likely to go, expiring contract and all that, but it's not the only thing Brad can do.
It's not. I mean, I think that one of the most interesting, and I know we didn't want to necessarily get into target names, but I think one of the most interesting names of guys, you mentioned him a minute ago. I think Sam Hauser is a really interesting guy at this deadline because I think so. Obviously, the contract is not Anfernee Simons' contract, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Simons keeps getting brought up. Right? It's like this is a valuable player who you could potentially get some. There is like a level of sense to be made in terms of he is a good player who has a big contract, so you could potentially get a probably slightly less good player, but who has a more friendly contract, which would then help you. In terms of aprons and all that other stuff, right? I think Hauser's interesting for a couple of reasons. One, I think, he's well established. People know who he is. People like if a team traded for Sam Hauser, that's getting like a big press push. You know what I mean? Like if whatever team acquired Sam Hauser is really going to he's getting like a jersey hold up kind of press conference. Sure, he's getting that's a big deal for a team if they go get Sam Hauser.
I agree with that.
And so I think there's value there. And I think from the Celtics perspective, the thing about Sam Hauser is that there are going to be stretches of the season. We've talked about this before. There are going to be stretches of the season where he just shoots you just these games where he just shoots you to a win. And it's holy cow, Sam Hauser turned what might have been a close game down the stretch into a 28-point blowout because he just went crazy. And he does that pretty often. And that's really, in a lot of cases, that's a big part of the reason why his 3-point percentage is 44% at the end of a season. It's not because he's consistently hitting 44% of his threes all year. It's because he's got these really crazy hot stretches. And if you're a team that's looking into the playoffs and is like, hey, I want to try to win a title, it's a little hard to always rely on that. Now, I will say that Joe Mazzulla has been talking up Hauser's defense a lot, which, again, kind of go either way. He's been talking him up like he's one of the best defenders on the Celtics, and I don't know if I agree, but there could be a lot of reasons for that. He could just be trying to pump him up a little bit as I'm excited about his defense, or pump up his trade value. I don't know, but I think Hauser to me is the other really interesting guy of obviously there's all the wings, right? There's your Ugo, Baylor, all these guys who have played pretty well this season, but I don't think any of those guys have crazy high trade value. So to me, it's I think that Hauser is this kind of middle ground of if you want to look at somebody else besides Simons, because I think Simons, those sliders make sense. But if there's another guy, Hauser is a wing, and he's a fine defender, and he can shoot the heck out of the ball a lot of the time, but not all the time. And sometimes that not all the time is a little damaging.
And that I think has been my main criticism of Hauser this year, is that when he's going this January, oh my God, just amazing. But
also some other stuff in his bag now, which is that's okay. Big. Okay, Sam.
Yeah. That move on Siakam, the spin, step into a midi. I said it on the podcast last night. Gary Washburn turned to me and Jay and was that might be the best move I've ever seen Sam Hauser make. And he's not wrong. That, he's capable of a lot. So again, you know what? I'm perfectly happy going into the playoffs this year, into the summer next year, having made no move. And, let's figure out in the summer and we'll see. But if that's how it goes, they still have ways to maneuver and acquire a player and improve around Jayson Tatum without having to say if you want to keep Sam Hauser, I'm not, there's not even a rumor out there about Sam Hauser. I'm just saying hey, Sam makes $10 million. And if you're looking at Day'Ron Sharpe, let's say, and he's making $6.25 million, well, Sam makes 10. And so if the Brooklyn Nets are 23rd, 24th in 3-point shooting percentage, they've got a couple of bigs. You're maybe you just say, hey, well, we'll just kind of flip another one of our bigs into a shooter. And that's, now you make your other bigs better. You get Claxton more room. You know what I mean? You get guys more room to operate because when Sam Hauser's on there, that helps them. But For the Celtics, you're not going to be that good that quick. There's something to be said there. And okay, so now Anfernee Simons takes over the, some of the Sam Hauser role, and Jayson Tatum comes back and he's, going to be scoring and shooting and all that. So there's something there. Like there's something there. When all of this is just to say, don't just think that Anfernee Simons is the middle of all of every discussion. It's not just Anfernee Simons. Other guys on this roster could be packaged, could be part of a deal to get the Celtics what they are looking for. So just putting that out there, because I just think everything's been Anfernee Simons, end of story. And I don't think that is necessarily where we are.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just Brad works in mysterious ways. So
that's, I can't tell you how overarching that thought is in all of my conversations at TD Garden. People are like, I don't know what Brad's cooking. I just don't know what Brad's cooking. And we'll have to wait and see if it's anything.
The ultimate pump fake would be to do nothing. And I like, that would be hilarious. I hope Brad does nothing just to really keep all you guys on your toes.
That's possible. Well, you know what? Let's talk about why that's possible.
Let's do it
when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. You got to download that Game Time app because there is nothing like being in the building for a game, especially as you get closer to the playoffs. In the playoffs, when the team makes runs, when Sam Hauser's going, crazy and hitting like 2-3 shots in a row, Jaylen Brown does. It's just so electric. The Game Time app is a very straightforward, intuitive app that helps you find these tickets fast, simple, without the guesswork. Because number one, you can see the view from your seat. So you want to see what you're going to see. You open up the app, you tap the button, you tap, a couple of clicks, and you're like, okay, this is the view I'm going to get. The price you see is what you're going to pay. There's no surprise fees at checkout. And if you're not sure, you can go into the zone deals and unlock great seats for an even better value. I've used it before many times. So this is an app that's on my phone that I use plenty. So check it out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. I don't get it because I've already made purchases, but you can. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day, for making it the number one Boston Celtics podcast in the world, on the number one sports podcasting network in the world, on the planet, whatever. It's number one. So whatever you want to listen to, you got Locked On Fantasy Basketball, Locked On NBA, whatever other team you want to. So Locked On Nets to check that out to see. So that's what makes Locked On number one. We have everything covered all across. So go check out whatever the opponent is, whatever the big stories are. We've got it all covered. Okay, let's get back to the discussion here with Tom. The thing about this trade deadline and the second apron era trades is it's impossible to get, like, you want to play with the trade machine. You have to have like an advanced degree to play with the trade machine, because I was doing it for my piece just to kind of see where things would go. It's like, all right, let me plug in Daniel Gafford. He makes $14.5 million. Okay, well, how do you get there? By aggregating certain players, you put one team over the first apron, and you can't do that. By doing it a different way, you put the other team over the first apron, and you can't do that. They get hard capped over. So just getting Daniel Gafford $14.5 million becomes difficult and requires multiple teams. And that's the one thing that I think drives me crazy the most about the collective bargaining agreement is it's just, they don't want good teams trading with each other anymore. Like, good teams can't trade with another good team. Good teams, expensive teams, or teams with expensive players have to trade with bad teams. Like
Yeah, you
Trae
keep
Young.
robbing crappy teams. Yeah.
Yeah, like right, but you go. It's like Trae Young, who was paid like a superstar, goes to Washington. Like that's exactly what the CBA was designed to do. If you have an expensive player that you're like, okay, I'm done with this guy, like Jaren Jackson Jr., although he's on a bad team, but he's paid like a superstar, he can't go to a good team. The system is not designed to send him to a good team. It's too cost prohibitive. He came to Boston, the Celtics with their top four would be $20-30 million over the salary cap already, $20 million away from the second apron with four guys. That's not possible. That's the thing that Brad faces the most is if you want to get the guy, well, even like Zubac, that's not easy to do. You got to involve 3 teams, 4 teams. And every time you add another team, they have their own set of demands, and it just makes everything so impossible. So honestly, Tom, I would not be surprised if Brad didn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how long we want to wait to talk about what that would mean necessarily, but I think you're right on the money. And I think, the Celtics do have some. So the thing is, the Celtics do have some assets, right? They have like some ways to make some things work. So I think that, when you talk about your Gaffords, your Zubaches, I think no, I think it's not to say that the Celtics aren't going to make a deal like that. I think it's definitely possible that they could, and especially especially like maybe all of this great Anfernee Simons stuff is music to Brad's ears because he's been thinking about trading him this entire time, and it's just been biding his time, and it's like, hey, great timing, Anfernee, we appreciate you. Like, yeah, it's possible, but I think. So I think the assets matter, obviously, because that just it does open up other possibilities. Like if you need to get a third team involved, and that third team is demanding draft compensation, and this is just a deal that you absolutely hate. Like you just have to have Zubac. You've done the evaluations, and you're like, listen, like he's going to plug up all these holes. Having Nemi on the second unit is going to make such a huge difference against team X, Y, and Z. We think that this trade could put us over the top against a Western Conference opponent, because I think that's got to be a consideration here, which I know we can get into. It's got to be a consideration that, like, okay, yeah, the East is wide open, but if you come up against OKC, they're just going to sweep you. Then why did you make all these moves? That's not you have to make yourself an actual contender if you're going to make some of these really expensive moves. I think if you have done all that math and you think that the guy you're going to get is going to do that, you can get the deal done. Like you do have the draft capital to potentially get that done, I think. So I don't know. I mean, I think the assets are there. If you want to make the deal, I think the assets are there, and you can do it. But to your point, like you do start to really strip the cupboards bare if you do. And I think that's the biggest reason why it makes a lot of sense for us to get past the trade deadline and see nothing happen, because like, how certain can you be about what you need at this current juncture? Wouldn't you be a lot more certain in the summer once you've seen a little, we're guessing, once you've seen a little bit of Jayson Tatum and okay, here's where he's at, here's where he's going to be at come October. Like once you've seen that, you could probably make a more educated move, I would think.
That's where I land on all of this too, because I think the Celtics with Tatum and Brown as the centerpiece have one more move.
Yes.
Like they you know what I mean? Like
I know exactly what you mean.
Trade Simons. You've got one more, like, all right, one more bullet in the gun, so to speak. Like this is it. It's the zombie apocalypse. You're there. You've got one more arrow in the quiver. You got to make sure you use it the right way.
No, you know what? You have two because you have the Simons, and that's a big one. And then I think you also have the Derrick White one if you need to push it, right? Because it's like you have this era of these two guys who, like, if they win another title, they're probably getting their jerseys are already retired. If they win another title, we're talking about like statue territory, right?
Sure.
Like, so you got these two guys, and I think at some point you're gonna have to push all the buttons that you can with these two guys. So I think anybody on the roster eventually, but for the immediate future, you got the Simons button.
So, right. Okay. So one or two, but like, I still think like Derrick is a big part of this. So
I do too.
I think it's to kind of like build on your point. I think it's one more move to say, okay, legitimate contender. And then the Derrick White thing would be what Milwaukee has done with Giannis.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? All right, we don't really want to move these guys. They're starting to get we're starting to not be, we got the Derrick White thing that somebody might, go for. Like that's going to be the one where, but the cupboards that's the cupboards are starting to get bare move.
That Derrick White is Chris Middleton. Yeah.
Kind of like that's the thing. It's like that, right? So you have options. You can shoot that the Simons or whatever the trade it, like it doesn't have to be Simons, like I said, but whatever that one move is to say it's Jayson, it's Jaylen, it's this new player, and either it's this new player, Daron Sharpe, and we're keeping Simons, and that's gonna be it. This is either gonna win us a championship or you say we're gonna take it into the summer. We're gonna see maybe Simons. I don't know. Maybe Simons doesn't work with Jayson Tatum all of a sudden. I'm not saying like it would be surprising, but I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe
I think it'd be a surprise to Jayson Tatum. He seems to like Simons quite a bit from everything we see.
I think so too, right? Like, but let's take it. Let's get this month or two or whatever with Jayson on the floor. Also, an important reason to get Jayson on the floor. Like, let's see it. Let's see it with this group, with this style, with the new and improved Jaylen Brown. Like, let's kind of see. Like, I have all the confidence in the world that they're going to have to figure it out, but there is going to be some level of figuring it out. Like that's just part of it. It's a new team, new teammates, every year is a new year. Everybody has a little bit of a different kind of like mentality. It's fine. So there's value to that, but what they do will tell us how they think. And we'll talk about that when we wrap up the show next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Every Friday night, this is the Friday show. So if you're listening on Friday tonight, 6:00, open up that FanDuel app and you'll see it's NBA happy hour from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure it's Eastern time. NBA happy hour will get you something new, a boost, a bonus, a surprise. You never know what you're going to get at the NBA happy hour FanDuel kind of extravaganza. It's your official pregame. It's a limited time window where special offers drop inside the FanDuel app. So check it out. You get weekly specials. Timing is great right before the games, right before the weekend starts. So it gives you a little extra energy. So before tip off, check the FanDuel app and see what's going on at NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. When you sign on, it'll ask you to set your limit, set your budget. It's happy hour. You can only afford to spend a little bit on whatever it is. So that's it. Whatever your budget is, whatever you would spend on a night out with your friends or your family or your wife, if that's your disposable income and that's what you want to set it at, then go for it. That's it. And if you hit that limit, then you're cut off. That's what happens at happy hour sometimes. Hopefully not, but we're all going to try to gamble responsibly. It's a little basketball, it's a little action, and it's a whole lot of Friday energy at NBA Happy Hour on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You are an everydayer with me Monday through Friday. How about joining the Everydayer Club? Join me for free audio, whatever your podcasting app is of choice. All major podcasting apps, you can get free audio. You can get access to our Discord server. You get merchandise drops. You get all kinds of stuff at the Everydayer Club. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. $5 a month, or if you want to pay up front, $50 for the year, you get 2 months free at LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. So, Tom, we've been talking about all this. the East has kind of changed the dynamic here a little bit, because coming into the season, my expectation was the Celtics would be kind of like in that 5-6. Oh my God, are they going to be in the play-in? It's kind of situation, and they're not. And
nope, big swing and a miss by both of us.
But part of that is like, oh, the guys are playing better, right? I didn't expect Nimi to be this good. He has been. That's great. Yeah. He has helped them a lot. I didn't expect Jaylen to be a first-team All-NBA guy, but he has been. That's great. That's amazing. All of these surprises, okay, fine. At the same time, the Knicks should be better. The Cavs should be better. Orlando should probably be better. There should be more competition here. And they're 5.5 games out of first. They are 3 games in the loss column out of 7th. So it's not like the Celtics are the 2nd seed. Mm-hmm. A losing streak and a couple of things going the other way could drop them, and they could be right where we kind of expect preseason. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's not over yet. And I'm not sitting here rooting for like, hey, I still have a chance to be right. No, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. But the reason I am framing it like this is, does Brad Stevens think, okay, look, we get that one rebounder, the Pistons, all of a sudden, if you can get one guy to just keep Jalen Duren off those damn boards 2 or 3 times, let's just get 2 or 3 of those putbacks, knock those out. Hey, you win that game in Detroit, right? You keep Jalen Duren off the boards. Maybe they're 2-2 against the Pistons. Maybe they're 3-1 against the Pistons. Maybe the Celtics are a little closer to first. Maybe they're in first. So does Brad Stevens say, you know what? I am going to shoot that shot right now. I am going to shoot that shot right now and let everybody know this is it. Jason's coming back. This is it. We're going for it now. And like whatever we get is going to be this year push, next year push, all of that stuff.
I think probably not, but we'll see. I think it's fascinating either way, because part of the issue to me is, okay, who is Giannis going to go to, right? Like where, like, is he going to stay, right? What happens with Giannis? Like, that's a big thing, right?
It's a huge thing. If he ends up on some team that like if you don't go for it this year and then he, something coalesces and, he ends up on a team and it's a team that, the Knicks or whatever it is, and it really hurts you to see him on that rival and really makes you concerned, then you might regret not going for it this year. Again, though, I keep coming back to what I said earlier, where it's like, if you're going to go for it this year, I think you have to go for it to the degree that you could win the title. And what we've seen from some of these teams is like, Wemby comes into Boston, has a mediocre game, and was still so unbelievably impactful every time he stepped on the floor, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what you're dealing with out west, is that's not the number 1 seed out there. That is a team on the rise who, like, if I were picking the finals, that's not the team I would pick to make the finals, Right. So like, I think, and I'm not saying you have to 2024 was a exceptional year. You had a Celtics team that for whatever reason, a bunch of people picked the Mavericks. I will never, to the day I die, I will never understand how people picked the Mavericks in that series, because the Celtics were so clearly the best team in that series. And I think so clearly the best team in the NBA, right? Especially that series, but also I think pretty clearly the best team in the NBA. It is hard to put together that kind of team. I wouldn't expect the Celtics to be able to put that type of team together again, especially under the second apron. But I think you at least have to have a team where it's like, you need to have a team where the matchup issues aren't necessarily like glaring against the best teams in the West. And I think you really have to be thinking about that. This isn't 2022 anymore, where it's just like, oh man, we made it to the finals and it was we got so close, we pushed them to 6, Went crazy. Like it's not that anymore. Like now you have the veteran superstars, and you've got to put a team around them to where if they get to the finals,
like you actually have something to play for. You actually have a shot to win it. If you're going to push all your chips in right now. So like I said, if the Celtics do push all their chips in, it's going to be fascinating. I'm all for it just because of like, oh man, like this gets really interesting at that point. But it's a huge commitment if you do that right now to this season and next. It's a huge bet on it's a massive bet on Jayson Tatum's health. It's on Jayson Tatum's ability to continue defying all the all the health odds and all that. It's a big commitment if you do it now.
This I think, and here we are 30 minutes into it, and the heart of it all might be the most important part of all of this, whether to do it now or later, is Jayson Tatum. Yeah. Because you don't push in now without it being Jayson Tatum coming back, and we expect him to come back and we expect him to be himself. You don't sit there and say, we're going to trade, we're going to make this deal. We're going for it. This is the team. We're making this push, and we still don't know what Jason's going to do. Well, you need Jayson Tatum. The whole point of this is that Jason's coming back, and he's going to provide, even if he's on a minutes restriction and he gives you 25 minutes a game, and that's the most he can play in the playoffs, that's still 25 minutes of Jayson Tatum. And that, if you think he's going to be Jayson Tatum, then okay, I can see it a little bit more. I don't want to put that on Tatum right now. Like, I've described this season as a capsule episode for the Celtics, which means however this season ends, it does not enter the canon. It does not enter like that. It's fine. Whatever they do is fine. So there's a part of me that's like, you know what? Let Jaylen cook. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do on their own. Let's see what Anfernee can do. Let's put Anfernee Simons in a playoff situation and let's see what he can do. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't been in that for an NBA team. What if he like soils himself in the playoffs? Again, not expected, but like there's always these possibilities. People don't want to hear like that might happen. Even if there's a 2% chance that it happened, you never know. You never know until you get there and see it.
And I also think it goes the other way too. Like, because I think it was the Clippers game, but I think it was the Clippers game. There was a game recently where the Celtics were playing against one of the really good Western Conference teams, and the Clippers were really good at the time, obviously. And the Celtics were playing against one of the really good Western Conference teams, and only the top guy, like, it was very clear that this was not going to be an Hugo Gonzalez game. You know, it was like, this is not a game. This is a game for the adults. And Anfernee Simons played quite well as one of the adults. And I think that's also a possibility that he just comes out and you're like, okay, this is a grown man NBA player who can come out and get buckets on a stage because he's been around the NBA for a while. That also could happen and matters.
The flip side of what I laid out is, what if he's a superstar in the playoffs? What if he's like
good or just good? Like, you know,
right? Like there's all of that stuff. There are all of these things. Why not see? Why not see? And like, okay, I think one of the other things the Celtics need to do is get a sense from Anfernee and his agent. Hey, if we were to say we want you to stick around and offer you mid-level money, are you going to take it or not? Like, obviously you have to go out there and canvas, but there's not a lot of teams with cap space. There's not a lot of money to be thrown around at free agents. I think Simons is one of the guys that kind of gets screwed by the CBA because no one's going to want to pay him $30 million. But if his actual value is somewhere around 20, they're like, well, we're not going to give you 20. We're going to give you the 15, the mid-level money, because now you're tradable and now you fit into an exception and blah, blah, blah. The Celtics need to figure out not just Jayson Tatum, but is Simons open to sticking around at whatever number that they are comfortable paying? And if not, hey, look, all right, fine. We will trade you. We'll do what we can do. But you got to get something for him because he's clearly valuable. Yeah. And then that changes your approach at the deadline. Maybe that changes maybe you're like, we got to move him for something, and then you pull a trade, right? So that there are other factors here too that play into this. The Celtics need to know if he is willing to come back. If he is, then let's see him play with Tatum. Let's see if Tatum, we don't even know, like, we're assuming a lot. We're assuming that Jayson Tatum is going to come back and be his 100% absolute self, which I think I expect as well. But also, what if he's not? Mm-hmm. It's an Achilles injury. Like, what if he is, like, what if something's a little off? And so now you have to figure out, he has to spend time figuring out who he is. This is like, I'm firmly into the what if and throwing every what if out there. But because you don't know these things, because there is some level of, well, you know, maybe there is something there that you just want to button up. Doing nothing now, or doing a minor deal now, and then waiting to see this summer, like you said, where does Giannis go? Where does John Morant go? Where do all these, does somebody else, does the East get better or worse? What do we need here to make this team kind of like capable of coming out of the Pistons? What moves do the Pistons make? And what moves can we get in on as a third team anyway? Like that, there's so many questions here that I don't know that the all-in move is there for the Celtics. That's the thing. I think the all-in move is a summer move. Maybe they do get Day'Ron Sharpe. Maybe they get one of those $5-6 million guys, and it's something like that. And the rest is we'll wait and see, which I would totally buy as well. So
yeah,
with all of these questions, I just want a couple more answers before it's like, okay, let's give me the launch codes. I'm hitting the button.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think that's, I was gonna launch into an even longer discussion about Jaren Jackson Jr. being like the full on, like launch, press all the buttons guy. But yes, I think that's right. And I think you're exactly right that's why a smaller move, wait till the summer. That would be my guess for sure.
Right. We'll leave it there. Who knows? Something will happen tomorrow that'll change everything, because that's the nature.
Giannis is actually coming to Boston tomorrow. You heard it here first.
Brush up on my Greek. I'm dying for Giannis to come to Boston somehow so I can ask him Greek questions in the middle of the scrum and get my exclusives. That's all I want. Yes. I want exclusives in the scrum. I hear a lot of people coming in. They talk to Al Horford in Spanish. They talk to Ugo in Spanish. I'm like, oh, man. Yeah. It's like you when you are bilingual, you can go there and you can ask a question. I'm like, oh, I got to run this through a translator and whatever. Perfectly fine. Perfectly valid thing to do. And I'm just like, can we get Giannis in here somehow so I can do this now? It's the only chance I have. I have not learned Spanish. I took French in high school. Don't even know how to speak that anymore. So give me a Greek. Give me a Greek in here, and then we can go. Like a real, like, good one. Not a, I don't know. Don't give me Thanasis.
Well, if you're getting Giannis, I think you're getting Thanasis.
Yeah, probably. All right. Well, we'll all go eat souvlaki's together somewhere. All right, Tom, thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. I do appreciate all of you who have been with us for 38 minutes. Thank you for sticking around this long. I mean, we could go on for hours on trade discussion, but we'll limit it here. We'll come back to it when we need to. 2 weeks is the deadline, so lots of interesting stuff going to happen between now and then. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Would love it now if you shared the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.